All right, so let's get the origin story and who is this guy out of the way. To me, it's not that important, and I'd rather the ideas and concepts stand on their own so that people can absorb them and feel into the truth of them for themselves at that particular phase and point of their life. That way, the content itself speaks for itself, and even if it has no attachment to me, then I suppose that's fine too. Yeah. I do often have fantasies of sometimes just writing a book and having it be anonymous and then publishing it anonymously. That way, it's not attached to the concept of me as a person, and everything can stand on its own in relation to the integrity of the concepts and the validity of the concepts in and of themselves. So my socionics type, if that is relevant or matters to anyone, I think is IEI. Someone typed me as that. I think I was also an LII, double TI. But I have too much poet in me and a lot of poetic nature about me that rises to the surface, mainly in my writing. When I speak, it doesn't come out as much. When I write, it's right there, especially whenever I write to myself. Or I'm in a playful, fun-loving space with someone else, then the poet comes out, the romantic comes out a lot. And so my tri-type is going to be for the Enneagram is a sexual 5, sexual 9, self-preserving 4. And then the dominant type is going to be a type 5 of the sexual subtype. And my Enneagram wing is going to be 5 wing 4. And the Myers-Briggs, I gravitate most to INTP, I think. And that one just has a lot of resonance with me, and I think I'll stay with that, even if I allow the socionics type to be different in terms of recognizing the IAI aspects. And so that will probably mean a whole lot of nothing to a whole bunch of people, which is completely fine. If it means something for you, then take it. If it doesn't, just leave it. So I do have a college degree. I actually graduated with honors and a 4.0 in computer information systems. And even if that is the field that I decided to go into, I don't think I have a lot of strong resonance with regards to being a computer programmer. I did want to get into that field due to the versatility and the potential. I think I'm innately drawn towards potential and moving my spaces into positions where that potential can have maximal flexibility with respects to the options available to it in order to succeed. So it's kind of like a robust systems design in terms of creating a mind and a personality and a set of favorable circumstances that allow for the optimal amount of flexibility within space with regards to myself and my current skill set and the capacities that I've developed up until a certain point. And so, like, my roots that I have are very much impoverished. I grew up in a very a very broken home. Like, my mother and father divorced when they were when I was about 4 years old, I think, and then I got put into the foster care system. And like, a lot of my first memories are just of my parents fighting, and my dad was pretty violent. He has hurt my mother before. My mother has told me this, and he used to be a dick to me as well. And so I was in the foster care system for about 2 years, and then I ended up back with my father, and yeah, like, the experience of being with my father, my childhood is mainly a lot of dissociative impressionistic memories. And so, like, I have the memories of them, but that's usually from like a third-person projective experience onto like the way the memories sit inside my head and the way that I recall them. And I remember themes and tones and archetypes and a few fragmented specific memories that punctuate my childhood. But by and large, the crystal clarity with which some people tend to be able to recall their past just isn't there with me. And I don't know if that's because I tend to be more present focused and more future focused. And so, like, one of the fundamental ways that I engage with my past is to merely acknowledge it for what is there without trying to put any sort of label or any sort of interpretive energy on top of it, so as to not give it a narrative energy with which to anchor my experience back in the past. Because a lot of times whenever you put like the negative labels on your past, and you put all of the different stories about interpretive meaning on top of the past, then like you're anchoring some aspect of yourself in relation to it and framing it in a specific way that creates your reality in relation to it and the way that you're framing and describing it. And so more often than not, it's better to have a relationship with your past that is either neutral or positive. And if you can find positive ways, and I've found many ways which to frame things in a positive light, one of the better techniques that you can have is to reframe your experiences in different descriptions that empower you rather than disempower you, and that allow you to see yourself and your circumstances in a more favorable light, like in terms of seeing silver linings, than in ways that cause you to hold on to resentment and anger and bitterness and so on and so forth. And so when you hear me describing my past, you probably won't feel a lot of emotion in regards to it, because I've done a lot of self-work and self-exploring work in order to try and feel into that space as much as possible and feel into those experiences as much as possible, in order to allow myself to open my heart and open my energies up in order to identify the blockages that are inhibiting me or constraining me in some way that I find disfavorable. And then from that aspect, going into the experience and looking for ways to not have the not be in relation to the experience in a reactionary way, and more and come to it from a place of more consciousness and more empathy for other as well, in terms of understanding that humanity is flawed, and that my father was just doing the best he could within a particular set of circumstances that he had, and that all of us don't get to choose our, like, who we're born to, the level of poverty that we're born into, the location that we're born into, and all of these play extremely huge important factors in one's life. And like, you don't necessarily get to even choose like how you're going to respond to a particular book. Like, it impacts you the way it impacts you sometimes. And so like, I'm learning that there's different nuances to both determinism and free will with respect to the experience that we have. Like, sometimes you're going to be impacted by reading something completely different than you will when you come to it later in life, right? And so like, when you first read it, like, maybe it does nothing for you, but then maybe you go through a slew of experiences that end up causing you to find yourself in relation to these concepts that you're rereading again in a new and more meaningful way that has a more impactful experience for you, to enable you to leverage the knowledge in a new way that wasn't previously available to you because of a lack of experiences that needed to be metabolized by you first in order to play off of this new information and have your reaction in relation to it come about in a new and different way, right? And so like, yeah. But anyway, back to my childhood, off of that digression. My father was a drug addict, and he did spend a lot of time shifting from city to city, and a lot of time in between jobs. And so a lot of my formative experience was with he also had anger issues, and so like, I was frequently subject to whoopings where like, I had my hair grabbed and it was held like above the ground, almost like with my feet not touching, and was whooped with belts and boards and switches, and some of those belts were metal. And I actually don't even consider that aspect of my childhood like the most damaging, I don't think. Yeah, like that one, even though that was present in my life, it wasn't a formative aspect of who I am, because like, it didn't drive and shape trauma responses or wounds in a very deep and profound way, the same way that moving from place to place, sometimes 2 times a year, and going into school systems where I was always the new kid and always the outsider, and having antagonistic relationships with my peers, wherein I was constantly the receiver of bullying and isolated in very deep and profound ways, usually self-isolated in order to try and preserve myself from essentially the cruelty of humanity. I remember at one point in time running from a group of kids that was chasing me down, and I ended up like climbing up a tree over a one of those concrete brooks that the city has. It was likely wide enough to be a river almost, like a small stream in my memory, but it had a bunch of rocks down in the bottom that were jagged, and the branch overhung it, and the kids were chasing me down, and I had climbed up here, and they were throwing sticks and stones at me to try and knock me down. And like, my perception at the time was that it was definitely fatal if I fell from this tree like this. And so to me it was very much like a life or death situation. I don't know if it actually would have been. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But these are the types of experiences in relation to my peer groups that I had growing up as a child. Like, whenever I eventually changed over to my mother's care when I was in my teens, my early teens, even though that brought more stability into my life, the nature of my relationship with my peers was still very much antagonistic and isolating because of a lack of capacity to navigate in that social sphere with any degree of fluency. And I still have trouble navigating group dynamics and group settings, and with fluency. It's just like that aspect of self never developed for me, and even though I'm very comfortable with being myself, and I have a very easy, relaxed nature about me, I don't know how to contribute to the overall group atmosphere, and I'm very aware of that. I mean, this is why I identify with INTP, because I feel like I have FE, external feeling. Like, there is a deep concern with my impact on others and my impact on the group, but also just like a huge lack of fluency in that area. And so it's very much like a stumbling thing where I'm just going like, I like the group, I like community, but I have absolutely no idea how to do any of this, and it just feels so unnatural to me to try and force myself to be a certain way in order to fit in. And so, because like I never felt like I fit in, I was like, I just allowed myself to be myself for the most part, and that was helpful in the later parts of my life, where groups of people would adopt me like a child. I remember when I was in the military, I got adopted by every single group that I came into, because they were like I managed to preserve my innocence largely into my 20s, and they would adopt me and call me like one group called me Furby, and they did it lovingly, like they always saw me like this innocent that needed to be protected. And so, yeah, I completely forgot and spaced on where I am in terms of telling this I suppose you could call it origin story. But yeah, so I've had lots of dark negativity in my life, and that persisted whenever I got married, because I ended up getting married to, I'm not going to call her a narcissist, I think that term is overused, but she definitely displayed a lot of narcissistic traits, and I, at the time, completely empathized and understood where they were all coming from, because she was definitely a broken human being who, and I had, and probably still have to some degree, like broken wing syndrome, where I felt a need to try and heal her by loving her and doing what I very much believed that any relationship could work as long as you put in the time, effort, and dedication to making it work, and as long as you were able to return to a heart-centered space and be loving, and so my previous marriage was very much an attempt to explore unconditional love in a very deep and profound way, but also very messy, because I'm still human. I made a lot of mistakes. I still had a lot of anger issues and a lot of dark personality traits that I needed to learn how to resolve as well. I was very conscious of it, though, because I had been meditating for about 5 years, and practicing mindfulness, even though it wasn't called mindfulness for me. And I found it in a book of 112 meditations from Osho and his Book of Secrets, and that has roots in Kashmir Shaivism, which is tantric Hindu philosophy. And so a lot of those early meditations have ties to Vipassana, the Buddhist Vipassana mindfulness meditations that a lot of the mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques are founded in. And so I had a very large degree of awareness about myself and my negative patterns, and I was very much on a self-healing journey and a self-growth journey in order to try and bring those aspects in me into higher levels of vibration and more integration and a deeper level of authenticity and healed integration. But I was still a horrible human being at times, and everyone is to varying levels. And so we very much triggered each other in many different ways. I was triggered because of my own judgmental nature about what constructive behavior looked like, right? So I had a model of what healthy relationships look like because I had been studying it, because I'm a sexual 5 Enneagram subtype. I romanticize deep forms of intimacy and sexuality, and I had really strong beliefs about what healthy looked like for me, at the very least, if not in general, and very strong beliefs about how to make relationships work. And so those beliefs would get trampled on by her when she was displaying any form of low vibrational behavior that would trigger me and get me frustrated and get me angry. That is and was a lack of acceptance in me of her and where she was at in her journey at the point in time. And what I actually needed to do was learn how to let go of the situation. But I stayed there for 15 years, so I'm a masochist in many ways. Oh my God. Oh my God. Am I a masochist in so many ways? But yeah, I will. I just kept trying to stay in neutral, positive spaces as much as possible, and not allow myself to get triggered, but to continue to call out the behavior that I was seeing as unconstructive, and describing how it was unconstructive and destructive towards both the harmonious aspect of the relationship as well as the family as a general, because she has and had much more so than she does now, extreme anger issues and extreme volatile responses that were very loud and over the top. And I'm attracted to loud and over the top because that's exactly what I'm not. And I do like color in my life, and I like a little bit of chaos in my life. And so I'm attracted to that darker energy spectrum a lot of times, because I like the color, the drama of it. It has a certain heat to it that moves the ocean currents inside of me and galvanizes me into movement. But there are healthy forms of that and unhealthy forms of that, and we were very much in an unhealthy form of that. And what I wanted from her at the time, and what we had at the beginning of the relationship, was very much a healthy form of her chaos and inspiring playfulness out of me, and inspiring my own response to her chaos. I'm like a very permissive person in terms of promoting playfulness in spaces, and trying to promote and encourage the wind element. Like I tend to be like a very subdued, passive, calm individual. Like in isolation, the waters inside of myself are like a very still pond, and I rely on others in a lot of ways to inject movement into my system, so that I can be myself in a different way, because like who I am is very changeable and fluid and adaptive intrinsically, based on the people I'm around and the energies they bring into my system, and that what allows me to encourages out of me certain types of new ways of being and experiencing and play. And I'm still a very inwardly focused person, so even around the loudest people it can be difficult for me to have these louder expressions that I'm drawn to. Like, I feel the vibrancy of their life force, and I want it, and I don't know how to have that innately. Just as later, whenever I'm reflecting over the gene keys, I'll talk about my challenge sphere, the challenge I have that's most prevalent in this life, as being naturalness and being, right? And so, like, what comes easily and naturally for other people is a struggle and a challenge for me. and a lot of people is like, don't think, just be. It's like, well, it is very much a struggle for me in order to over the years, I've gotten better and better and better and better at learning how to surrender to the flow of life, and learning how to surrender to the flow of myself and the higher vibrational energies that exist in me. But that has been very much a learned process that has come because it has been a struggle for me to be in these flows, and to learn how to appreciate letting go more and more and more, and surrendering more and more and more to life and to myself in various ways. And so even when I surrender to myself, sometimes that looks like taking control of certain aspects of my life that my higher self says, you want control in this aspect, and it's actually good for you to have control in this aspect. And so go ahead and play and dabble in this area in that way. And so you can have control even in surrender. That's the paradoxes, man. Gotta love non-duality. But yeah, so it was very much a dark period of my life through most of it, because a lot of ways my ex's love language was cutting, because she didn't believe that anyone could love her, and she didn't believe that she was worthy of love. She felt that I was too good for her, and she wanted to continue to prove to herself that I loved her by pushing me away in many different ways. And that looked a lot like belittling me, calling me names, and I suppose emasculating me in front of other people, because she liked the fact that she found someone that was non-reactive, right? That didn't have an extremely strong concept of ego, that felt the need to defend itself in these different aspects. So large pride, I'm just like, meh, if that's what she needs. And so, like, I didn't have a lot of those. I was a very fluid sense of self. Like, I went into the deep feminine in order to be the stay-at-home father, while she went into her masculine aspects more, even though she was feminine. And she also later resented me for this, which is crazy to me. That like, she chose to go into the workforce and chose to have me be the stay-at-home father, so that she could have the financial freedom that made her feel safe in the relationship, because in all of her past failed relationships, the dependency that she had on her exes financially was disempowering to her in relation to the relationship, and destabilizing to her in relation to the relationship. And I was very much the type of person of, like, what do you need to heal? And so, like, these different types of things that she would need the financial stability. So I got really good at being the homemaker. Like I cooked, I cleaned, I took care of everything. I tried to make sure the house was immaculate and to her standards as much as possible. And yeah, and so she held me to standards that she herself could never live up to, because we did eventually change roles, and I went into the other aspect where I was the breadwinner, the provider, and she was the stay-at-home. And we had very much agreed in person that everything that she wanted me to continue to maintain, she would maintain. And she just never, ultimately, like, there was an intense lack of intimacy in that relationship, to the extent that I felt very, very isolated and alone. And that isolation and aloneness that I felt due to the lack of physical intimacy and the continued attacking of myself in many different ways, that I did finally wake up and just be like, I have to let this go, right? This is an example where even if I'm being as loving as I can, and as supportive as I can, and as anchored in constructivity, and trying to repair the relationship as much as I can, like, she has straight up said, I no longer love you, I no longer respect you, I'm only using you for resources. And I finally at that point was like, and she also admitted, like, look, we will never go back to the way we were before. And so, like, after I heard that, that was what I needed to hear in order to free myself, because as soon as the hope of potential was removed from the relationship, then I could free myself in relation to the relationship too. And I was holding on to that aspect of potential and that aspect inside of me that wants to make sure that I never regret not doing my best, right? And so there is an aspect inside of me that does try to do the best I can within a certain set of circumstances, to the extent that I am in alignment and in integrity with myself and my own beliefs, and trying to do what I can in order to make sure that I fulfill my own criteria for having done my best. That being said, I am a lot more willing to just let relationships go right now, because one, I'm not married, two, I don't have kids, and I have a vasectomy, so I can't have kids. And that lack of binding allows me to be much more like, look, my boundaries are being violated right now. This is the standard I have for what I'll continue to entertain as a relationship I want to be a part of. And if the relationship isn't meeting these standards, then I'm out, And it's a lot easier for me to say that in my current state of being than it was back then, even though that was really, really what was needed for me to learn, was how to step more towards myself in a self-loving way in order to start having standards for my experience for what I would and would not entertain, and moving more towards the things that called to me, and that were healthy for me, that called to me and were healthy for me, because I can still be called to unhealthy resonances pretty easily. But yeah, like, I suppose life has been colorful and interesting, and um, there's a lot of aspects in my childhood. I think my relationship with my ex has been more damaging than my childhood, and that I still have wounds from my childhood that I am working on, but that uh, the extreme darkness in my past is very much um, something that I'm choosing not to be a victim of, right? I'm choosing to step out of it, choosing to find ways to look at it in ways that are empowering, choosing to look for life lessons that will continue to help me move forward, and releasing energies that keep me bound up in the past and in circumstances that aren't serving me, so that I can move closer and closer and closer to the highest expression of myself that I can be, and that I want to be, and that I choose to be. And so, yeah. So I mean, my past has a lot of disadvantageous starting positions, and I can acknowledge that. I can say, yeah, I had violence in the home. I grew up in poverty. I have been beat for spending 50 cents on a candy when I was only supposed to get something that was 5 cents so that my father could get the change because he needed the change, the money, in order to get all of the different drugs or booze or whatever he wanted to do with the money. And he couldn't do that. It was converting food stamps into change. And one of our family outing experiences is going dumpster diving in the city in order to get cans out of the dumpsters, in order to bring them to recycling plants, in order to get money, for the same reasons. And that whenever I went to go live with my mother, I was still in circumstances where there was still violence in the home because of her boyfriends, and that like I've seen like my brother at the table upset one of my mother's boyfriends to the point that he got up, went over there and kneed him so hard, launched him onto the other side of the room. And I've witnessed my room being and all my stuff being destroyed multiple times whenever one of them would fly into a fit or a rage. And like I've been subject to house fires where everything got consumed in flames, and in car wrecks where the van flipped and rolled. And I've had just so much has happened to me, but also like there's a ray of light, right? A ray of hope. Like, despite the fact that I've had all of these different circumstances, I've even experienced being raped twice. Despite the fact that I have experienced all of these different circumstances, there is the capacity within me to find ways to view all of these different circumstances as fertilizer for a better self, and as fertilizer for a beautiful flower to grow and to blossom and to allow myself to continue to move out of victimhood mentalities that would keep me trapped in lower vibration states where I'm feeling disempowered and like life is happening to me and that I don't have any capacity to influence anything. And so, yeah, I've gone through lots of experiences. And I can see the synchronicities in life as they have played out, where all of these different things have taught me different aspects and given me qualities that have made me a better person in the long run, and has served to ground me in such a way that I'm very much empathetic to the struggle that people go through, and I can be much more appreciative of other people's experiences, and witness like the vast spectrum between what we can go through as a human, and also like the witnessing of my own self and seeing my own growth and being like I'm proud of who you are right now, dude. Like, I like you, you're kind of cool. And then like still yeah. So I think I'll just leave it there. I probably won't bring much of this up whenever I'm doing my reflections in the future. Just this one video. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't tend to have it be a part of my day-to-day experience and my day-to-day reflections. And I tend to have more abstract reflections that look at something in a vacuum from multiple different perspectives that are projected as if like looking at all the different ways something could come into being around it, and not necessarily just only limited to my experience, but also like the vast array of experiences that could be available to one in a certain situation. Anchored to like the mechanics of emotion and constructive and deconstructive actions, and ways of moving through life and through space in ways that continue to elevate, uplift, and empower both yourself and others. And so I will try to anchor a lot of my content probably in the abstract rather than in the concrete, using life examples, because like it's the past, dude. I don't want to continue to go back there. I mean, I can go back there, but if I don't have to, why would I want to? Extract what is useful. Use it in your everyday experience, integrate, allow yourself to heal, forgive yourself, forgive other people, learn to let go, and then once you let go, let it go. And so like in and of itself, like I can make these videos for other people's benefit in order to help them anchor in to my experience and learn how the different tools and methods that I might share could be relevant to their own set of circumstances in relation to the things that they have gone through. But yeah, I'll probably try not to anchor into my own concrete experience too often, because like I said, I still kind of want the ideas to stand on their own merits and resonate with people that wish to explore the ideas and concepts that I share, and not get it bogged down too much in my own concrete experience, so that they're not in a relationship of comparison between myself and themselves. Because even in having that relationship of comparison be there, like, look what this dude went through, look how his life has turned out, why can't I do that, right? Even the relationship of comparison can be disempowering for some people, and can get in the way of where they're at in the moment, in order to not support them where they are, because they'll just because of the aspect of comparison. This is approaching 50 minutes, so I am going to go ahead and stop here and just kind of let this be however it is. And this is my origin story, people. hope you have enjoyed. So yeah, take care, and peace. May peace favor you. And I hope everyone that is able to connect with my words and my experience and the things that I share is able to find their own resonance inside of themselves in order to discover their own personal authenticity and come closer and closer to the highest expressions of themselves, and go deeper into their own self-empowerment, self-discovery, as well as, because I think the world is a bit too self-centered sometimes. Like, I need to be more self-centered. But the world is a bit too self-centered, and so they also need a healthy understanding of what it means to be in relationship to other, especially in terms of consciousness. And like, because I have roots in Kashmir Shaivism, and because I have roots in contemplations of source consciousness, and in experiences where I've tried to love people that other people consider unlovable, right? Because you could have a lot of people that go like, look, man, your ex was trash to you. She did this, she did this, she did this, she did this. She had another man's baby. She brought that man into the relationship. And you stayed there. You actually had a better relationship with him than her. He couldn't handle her crazy and went out the other way, and you stayed to be the father to his kid. And like, they'll look at me like I'm just fucking nuts. Like, how couldn't you do that? Do you have no self-respect? I'm like, it isn't about self-respect. I was exploring a thing. I was exploring unconditional love. I was exploring the themes of unconditional love, and deepening compassion, and deepening empathy, and learning to let go in extremely adverse situations. To me, it was like a spiritual gym, right? And so, like, I view it like other people go to the gym and lift big weights. This was me lifting big weights, just in a completely different context, right? And so, yes, my life has very much been on hard mode, and I'm okay with that. It's not for everyone's experience, and not everyone has to choose to be on hard mode. In fact, one of the things I'm exploring right now is our capacity to choose and create our experience. And that's why I'm interested in manifestation. And so, one of the benefits is that I went ahead and went through all of these experiences, and you don't have to, but you can still gain the benefit of the wisdom of someone that has. And so, just allow it to be what it is, and yeah, just have fun with your life, dude. It's your life. No one gets to tell you how you get to live it. It's your life. Create your own magic. You are magical, you big beautiful bitch. And yeah. So yeah, I am hoping and wishing the best for anyone and everyone that connects to this and finds ways to find ways to empower themselves and to embrace their own magic and embrace their own uniqueness and embrace their own identity, and find ways to reframe things and empowering ways that makes them stronger without needing to cut down the other and disempower the other when they do that, so that we give everyone in this planet a chance to be redeemed and a chance to heal and a chance to move towards growth and a chance to develop, so that you're not locking the other person into a concept of who you think they are because you have attached a whole bunch of labels around them. And so very much like embrace your labelless existence, but also empower others, even those who you find yourself in strong karmic relationship with, in terms of like they generate strong feelings in you, feelings of animosity, feelings of guilt, feelings of remorse, feelings of betrayal, feelings of isolation and sadness, in such a way that you're not framing them like a villain, right? And so like you can still acknowledge their various different traits that aren't serving them and didn't serve you, as a description of the mechanics of a situation, without needing to have the emotive heat elements associated with those descriptions and be doing it in such a way that you're blaming them for the situation in order to dodge your own accountability and responsibility in relation to how you created those circumstances as well, and how you fed into the system and the dynamic in various different ways. And so it is very much one of a lot of radical self-ownership and accountability, but also in very gentle and loving ways of looking at your shit and going, yeah, it smells, bro. My shit smells, bro. Yeah. I'm aware. But then also like just being gentle with that aspect of yourself, so that you are not in an antagonistic relationship with yourself and your past. And yeah, I think I already tried to cut this once, but I'm gonna cut this again because I am now at the 58-minute mark. And so all of you have a wonderful day whenever you are listening to this, and I wish lots of success and brightness in your future and prosperity, and yeah, may peace favor you. Take care.